Check out the Marshall Pruett Podcast, available on iTunes, Google Play Music for Android users, on the web through Podbean, and via YouTube.
Years ago, you made your first start here at Road America. You look about the same. I'm 5 times as wide. Tell us what this was like 20 years ago, brother.
Man, did you have to bring that up?
Oh yeah.
It felt a lot faster, I have to say. I was watching. Somebody told me that on Sunday it will be to the day that I actually came back from my accident to my 255 consecutive starts. So I was watching some of the races, and we used to go around here and do a 139.
139.
139. So we had 1,000 horsepower in the day. The kink was a real corner. And so, yeah, it was a lot different for sure. We had more horsepower. We used to go actually slower through the corners, but still fun. This place is still my favorite place to be. It's an amazing racetrack. So anytime, doesn't matter what type of car you drive. If I can come back here, I'll be back here any day.
Tony just committed to not retiring until he's 7 years old. We appreciate that. All right, so we got a little situation here. Mr. Power thinking he's on pole. Then we've got this bully here, 0.05 of a second, steals it from him. I thought you guys were teammates. I thought you guys liked one another.
Yeah, I didn't think I was on pole. I just did the best lap I could. I beat P6 every session, so I was. I know it was a good lap, but I'd seen what these other guys were doing, so I was happy to be on the front row.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know Will was even in the equation until I heard how close we were, which was very close. So it was thrilling. I mean, that's great. We were happy, obviously, because we got a 1-2 out of it, so it was perfect.
So you guys probably know this man right here, Mike Hull. If there was an MVP for appearances on my podcast, I might have to rename this the Michael Hull Podcast. He keeps us up to date and smart on the strategy side and so many other things. Let's talk about intelligent things, which you help us with. What are we thinking tomorrow on stint length and stops and whatnot?
Marshall, first of all, I'm glad I'm sitting next to these two guys because they're going to rub up on us. That's going to help us a lot tomorrow. Maybe we won't need any strategy at all. But typically this race, I think it's 55 laps here. The fuel mileage is a little better than last year. I would suspect everybody could go 14 or maybe 15 laps before they have to stop. And historically with this race, the last 3 races, there's only been 4 laps of yellow. So that means you actually have to race here. You don't pack up and follow the pace car like we do at some other races. And I think that's fitting for Road America, because Road America has always represented champions like these two guys here, as well as some others that have had the opportunity to win at this racetrack and provide lineage for the future. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow.
All right, I've lost count how many championship rings this man has. Just in terms of appreciation, I want you to know that when these folks are asked by the track if they would come out and join you, you're defending IndyCar Series champion, your 2014 champ, and reigning Indy 500 winner, and another Indy 500 winner here, and your 2004 champ. So, no chumps up here except for me. Let's move to questions. We only have one mic since we got a little feedback, so this is going to be a shout it out. Raise your hand. Fire away. Sir.
So I have a question for Mr. Hull. So as a Board A fan, and knowing he's very popular on your podcast, we always talk about how Coyne's the smaller of the teams. What does that mean from a personnel standpoint? Does that mean you have 5 guys doing shock rebuilds and 10 guys back in the shop and they've got 4? What does that mean from a personnel? What's a small, what's a medium, what's a large team?
I think most teams that are here, all teams that are here probably have traveled 15 people per entry. no matter what you might call a small, medium, or large team. The difference really is what you pointed out, how they're supported in the building. Chip Ganassi Racing has an IndyCar team, and it has an IMSA racing team also. So we have a larger staff than just an IndyCar team would have. But there's a lot of crossover there. So you mentioned dampers. I think probably every team here has somebody that creates what the damper's meant to do, and then probably two people that actually build the damper, and probably an engineer or two that try to understand what the damper just did.
And the driver to tell them they got it wrong.
And the driver that says he or she don't like the dampers. So I think you can probably, by walking up and down just this area here, you can count noses and kind of see, and then watch what part of the car they're working on, or go behind the pit lane and see what the engineer, the depth of engineering actually is. You mentioned Bourdais. That timing stand probably has more engineers on it than most of the rest of us do. So Dale Coyne spends a lot of money these days still motorizing.
All right, we're giving out little sticker packs too for whomever asks a question. Hello. Who has a question for Antoine Kanaan? And it's the man with his raised hand.
Tony, thanks for signing my jersey. You seem to be almost ageless. You know, you're always on top. At Indy, our running joke every year is how many cars will you pass in the first lap? You have not lost any of your aggression. From the outside looking in, you're as young as you were 20 years ago. What does it feel like to be a veteran?
Ooh, what does it feel like to be a veteran?
Yes.
You know, if I started a little further up, I wouldn't have to pass all those cars. So I always make myself look a little bit better. But Rossi did a pretty fine job this year. So, you know, it's weird. I don't feel old, but people think a 43-year-old is old nowadays. But we're still going. I don't mind what people think sometimes. To be honest, I'm still enjoying what I do quite a bit. We have a big challenge with the team that we're in right now to build. That was a promise that I made AJ. It was funny because obviously they didn't have a good season last year. And I said, AJ, I promise you we're going to do better this year. He says, son, it's not that hard. You know, so he's very encouraging at times. But yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it. I have a multi-year deal there, and my commitment with AJ is to make his team more successful. We have our ups and downs, and it was expected, but we're still going hard. I mean, I told him, and I'm not going to drive until I'm 58 like he did, but I'm not retiring. I'm not retiring anytime soon. So,
having written quite a few stories about how unhappy the Hoyt team has been in recent years, I can attest they're smiling a lot more since he and Matthias Lay showed up. All right, who has a question for DJ Willie P. from Toowoomba, Australia? Young man.
Yeah, so it's recently been announced that Phoenix is not going to be returning to the schedule. If you could pick any track in the world, any track should trace on.
All right, he said, since we're not going back to Phoenix, what track, any track in the world, would DJ Willie P. send us to?
Gold Coast, Surfers Paradise. Epic race. That would be cool to go back to. That would be amazing. They had been kind of working on it, but I don't know. I think there's like a train station in the middle of the second chicane now, so it'll be a shorter track.
Who has one for young Jedi Josef Newgarden? You've had your hand up longest, sir. We'll come back to you next. And he's got a Verizon shirt on and a
Newgarden shirt on.
Look at that, sir.
My question was actually for all three. Have you ever won a race here at any level? What's your record at Road America?
What's your record of racing at Road America across all categories? And we're expecting you to remember. That's so awesome.
I think I got it. I've been here. I was here once before I came here in IndyCar in a Skip Arbor car in 2008, and I remember, you know, those cars they're very slow compared to an IndyCar. You got about 140 horsepower. It's a treaded tire. There's no downforce. They're fun to drive, kind of like a Formula Ford. And I'm pretty sure I won both races. We had two during the weekend, and I think we won both races. We were here with ALMS if I remember correctly, in 2008. And then when I got to IndyCar, I thought it was such a shame that we weren't running here. I couldn't believe that this wasn't on the IndyCar calendar, and for whatever reason it wasn't. But then we came back finally in 2016, and I think my record is 2nd, and hopefully a win tomorrow. That would be great. But I mean, this, like Tony said, this is one of the best places on the planet. If you're going to choose a racetrack on the planet, it's not just a North American thing. It's one of the best tracks you can come to on the planet. So a couple junior wins, but trying to still get a IndyCar win around here.
I know you've had a lot of head trauma power. Do you remember?
Yeah, I came here in 06 in Champ Car. Didn't do well in that race. Didn't do well in 07. Won in 16.
Yay!
And last year, where did I finish? I think it was top 5. Yeah, good fun track. I have to say, the Champ Car around here was a lot of fun, a lot of power, and that last panels in 07, that was pretty crazy.
So we spoke with Dario Franchitti earlier today. If you see the old man, congratulate him. This event 20 years ago was his first ever IndyCar win. So this weekend I Road America's 20th anniversary for him. This young man finished 4th, but tell us about the rest of your record today.
We're not going to go through the 20 years. Right? So 98, 99, 2000. No, I had a couple, I think 3 top 5s in a second place to wheel in 16 when I was racing with Mike at Ganassi. So I haven't won here in 20 years.
Not even in lights?
We'll try. No, we didn't even race. I didn't race Indy Lights here because we didn't come here. So my first time here was 1998 in an IndyCar right away. So it was definitely an eye-opening when I got here. It was the fastest place I've ever been, for sure, up to that point.
Well, if these guys next to you are nice at all, they'll keep that in mind, that TK needs a win here, dang it. All right, last couple of questions, and we've got to let everybody go. My man right over here.
Thank you. What is the craziest autograph all 4 of you guys signed, besides the tire?
My man has a Cooper tire that has signatures on just about every inch he's asked. What's the craziest autograph request everyone has gotten? Mike, I know you get asked to sign body parts constantly. It's usually men, unfortunately, but that's not.
Well, it actually is not. I'm not like these terrific athletes here. I sign out autographs for the common person, and the common person comes up with normal things for me to sign. So I feel pretty good about that. In a way, I'll turn this over to Joseph because I bet he's got something.
Have you signed a baby yet?
Yeah, I've signed a baby. I've signed a baby with permission. I think it was 1 or 2 years old.
Permission's involved.
Well, I believe me. You have kids that come up and they're like, sign my face, and you're like, where are your parents? Because I can't do that. It's not legal. I think the weirdest thing I've ever signed is a tenderloin sandwich, which was, I don't even understand the logistics of that. Like how, you got bread, then you have the breaded tenderloin, the more bread. I don't know if they were going to freeze it. I don't know what they were going to do with the sandwich. It was at Indianapolis where, tenderloin sandwiches are a big deal.
Was it Miller's?
Yeah,
it wasn't Miller's. That was the weird. I think the coolest things I've ever signed is a Penske Racing contract, though. That's probably the coolest thing.
I was just about to say that the worst thing I ever signed was a contract from a manager. I don't even have a manager, I was just joking. I think a baby's head probably is the weirdest thing. The guy wanted me to sign. I was like, I don't really want to do that. I mean, the skin is so new, like you put that pen on it, it's probably going to cause some sort of rash. So I'm not doing it, mate. But he asked me to do it. So yeah, that was it.
I'm legitimately scared.
Yeah, I was looking at the crowd, and I'm going to go with my second option because I have a lot of kids in here. So. I've been around way too long. But no, the weirdest thing was the guy I didn't even think was weird at the time. He asked me to sign his back, which, I'm like, whatever, man. He was an older guy, said, sure. He came back 2 hours later and he actually had tattooed my signature on his back. So I'm like, man, I have a lot of tattoos and I don't have one of them. I don't like myself that much, but I really appreciate it. So I would call that one. Let's leave that alone.
Now, if you were to show up with a tattoo of that guy's face on your back, that would be excellent. All right, one more question for our group, then we got to let them go and have a nice evening. Sir in the whole Matrish hat.
Guy over in Europe's getting a lot of attention about a triple crown.
Spanish guy?
Yeah,
Fred
Spanish guy.
Alonso?
What's your triple crown? And we know a couple of you got one of those jewels already.
My triple crown is the 500. What was the other one? I'm sorry, but Bathurst is the other one. Bathurst, what's the other? Oh yeah, Le Mans. Sorry. Yeah, 500 Le Mans and Bathurst would be a great triple crown. Like, if I got that, like as in Australia, Bathurst is like winning the 500. So
Is it the
that would be
12
cool.
hour or the 1,000?
The 1,000, absolutely. Yeah, 12 hour. Yeah. 1,000. Bathurst 1,000. So yeah, Roger's got a team that wins, so I have a chance.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever thought about the current triple crown that people, mention, Monaco, Le Mans, and in the Indy 500. I've just always, I'm so lucky that I get to drive an IndyCar, honestly. Like, I never thought I'd become a professional race car driver, so just to, be in this series is cool enough. But I will tell you, racers are very greedy. We're all greedy. I think we would race anything you'd allow us to. So I'd love to try
Golf carts.
golf cart, sure. Why not? Tony and me and Will can go race golf carts right now and compete, make it our own triple crown. But I would jump in anything. I'd like to try stock cars, honestly, because I think they'd be a challenge. Okay, wrong crowd. Wrong crowd. I'm being honest with you guys, all right? I think it'd be such a challenge, though, because they're so different than what we've learned or become accustomed to as drivers growing up in the open wheel world. So that'd be a fun challenge to go try. But sports cars, 100%. If I could ever run, Daytona, Sebring, the whole deal, going over to Le Mans would be amazing. Formula One, why not? I mean, if you could run anything. So I don't have a specific one myself, but whatever you get an opportunity in, it'd be cool to take up.
Formula E?
For me, I'm definitely not going over Formula One. So I would say we did it 24 hours together. We won in Daytona, the 500. And Mike keeps giving me the opportunity to go back to Le Mans, so I'm actually went away like Alonso, in my opinion. So if we do that next year, it would be awesome.
And I'm not trying to be too American and too protectionist here. I'd love to see Fernando come and play full time, and I'd also like to him to come over and see the holy hell our drivers visit upon him. It will not be easy. All right, one question, two more questions. Young lady.
If you had the chance, if Milwaukee was brought back and Elkhart was still here, would you like that competition? Would you enjoy that?
If Milwaukee was brought back and we still had Elkhart, would folks like that proposition? Milwaukee, TK?
Man, I had so many wins there in top threes. Yes. Yes. I mean, I still think it was a shame. Michael Andretti tried so hard, and I know some politics got involved, but that's such a great racetrack. It's a great little oval, and it's the oldest oval, right, Mike? That we have. I mean, the oldest track. So I mean, it's a shame that we don't have it. I wouldn't. No offense to Milwaukee, I wouldn't trade to here. I think we can fit both. But yes, I would love to see it back for sure.
One more question, then I'm actually going to ask Tony to close on a little favorite story of mine that he tells, which I haven't even asked him about yet. Young man.
So I'm doing karting right now and stuff.
Come on up. We need to get some karting tips here for our man.
So I'm doing karting right now, and I want to know what would be a good path to get up to a series like IndyCar or the World Challenge.
Well, because the whole goal is to get hired, by a team at some point. It's very tough. I'll be honest with you, it is tough, but you got to keep believing in yourself and what you're putting together. Because there'll be, with me, there was moments where I thought my racing career was over and I was done. And so you have to have a lot of tenacity in this sport. You gotta really be willing to always put it on the line and keep pushing to find a way to make it happen. Now, that's regardless of what path you take. I don't think there's really a right path or a wrong path in racing nowadays. With IndyCar, you have the Mazda Road to Indy, which you probably know of. How do you transition from karts to a USF 2000? That's a little trickier. I don't know if I could give you the best advice there. They've got F4 coming now. They got all sorts of things, but it's all about what I will tell you, the biggest piece of advice is this sport is about people. You're going to meet a lot of different people, talk to a lot of different people about, where you can go as a junior driver, where you can find the funding, the opportunity to keep going. And the people that you meet are going to help you succeed one day. The people I met helped me succeed and get here. So take care of the people that you meet and make that a priority, because that's what helps you get here is the people that you surround yourself with and interact with.
Young champ, love that. All right, we're going to close on a story that might apply to our man here, and I would say might apply to any young racer or anyone else who is facing adversity. Tony, could you tell us a story from early in your junior open wheel career in Europe where a certain person from your native land, a hero, stepped in and vouched for you at a critical time in your career? It's definitely about supporting those who have talent.
Sure, and that actually probably applies to the kid that just asked you the question. I was 1993. I was racing in Europe for a small team in Italy. I lived in the race shop, slept on a little mattress on the floor there, and that's how I went racing. And we only had money to do 4 races, and my last race was in Germany, and we used to race like Indy Lights race before Indy cars. And Senna was in Formula 1 already, and we knew each other from Brazil. He knew who I was, and I went to see him at his motorhome before the race, and I was actually starting on the pole that race, and he asked me, how was it going? I said, that's cool, we're starting on the pole, but this is my last race because the team doesn't have any money. I don't have any money to pay for the rest of the season. He's like, really? Wow, that's tough. And anyway, the conversation ended like that. I went back to my truck. 45 minutes later, somebody knocked on the door in the engineering room, and we opened the door, and there was Senna asking to see my boss. And my boss was sitting right there with me, and he says, hi, I'm Ayrton Senna, like he needed an introduction. The guy was like, I know. And he said, do you know this guy? He says, oh, of course I know him. This is my driver. He says, yes, he is better than me. You should sign him up, because he is a lot better than me, and one day he will be a champion. And I got the job. I got to race the rest of the year. Unfortunately, he died the following year, but that's when my career took off. So it's about the people that you meet. So on that, I think Josef you can call Josef, he can help you.
Tony, Will, Joseph, Mike, John from Road America, all of you, thank you so much for turning out. This is awesome. Also, we have some sticker packs. If you'd like them, John will happily hand them out, as many as we have.
Walk on out. I'll just take it one at a time, okay? Come on around, folks.
Subscribe. Hey, subscribe.